The April 10th, 2018 regular meeting of the Mentor Exempted Village Board of Education is called to order. This meeting is being held in accordance with Section 3313.15 of the Ohio Revised Code. Mr. Wilson, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Buckley? Ms. Jisling?
Present.
Mrs. Roberts?
Here.
Mr. Tuttle?
Here.
Mrs. Briner?
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would like to welcome everyone to the April 10th, 2018 regular meeting of the Mentor Exempted Village Board of Education. Prior to this evening, each board member has received for their review and consideration the agenda and materials associated with each agenda item for the board's approval via the district's paperless Board of Education agenda system, Board Docs. The public can access the agenda through the school district's website. The agenda is available through the district's website for public viewing the Sunday prior to the board meeting. Board members have the opportunity to call the superintendent and chief financial officer for information concerning agenda items and to request, if needed, additional information. There are two places on the agenda when the board entertains comments from the community. The first hearing of the public is dedicated to those who wish to address the board on agenda items only. The second hearing of the public is dedicated to those who wish to address the board on any subject, whether it is an item on the agenda or another issue. When addressing the board, please state your name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please address questions to the president. This meeting is being televised on a delayed basis and will be shown on Spectrum Cable, Channel 1026 in Mentor, and Channel 1025 in Mentor on the Lake. This meeting is also being videotaped and will be shown on our YouTube channel, Cardinal TV Mentor, Ohio. Please be sure to place your mobile telephones on silent mode during the meeting. And first, we will have approval of minutes from our regular meeting, March 13th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes. And now we will have hearing of the public on agenda items only. Seeing none, we will move on to superintendent's report and recommendations. Mr. Porter.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. I have the following recommendations listed under the consent agenda and recommend approval of items 5A1 through 5A5.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Thank you. Madam President and members of the board, tonight we are recognizing several groups of students who have excelled as a result of their hard work and commitment. We will begin tonight by recognizing the Sparkle cheerleaders. Mr. Fetchick, Ms. Ambrose, and Mrs. Roberts will present the awards.
My pleasure.
As they're organizing, can I please confirm that the action just taken on the superintendent's recommendation included the addendum item this evening?
Yes.
Thank you.
We want to ensure to include that.
So noted. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the Board of Education, Mr. Wilson and Mr. Porter. Thank you for letting me share some of the exciting things that are happening at Mentor High School. I'm going to introduce one of our fantastic art teachers and coach of our world-renowned Sparkle cheerleaders, Mrs. Ambrose.
Thank you and good evening. Now in its 7th year, the Mentor Sparkle program offers an intensive, immersive, and inclusive experience for all 50 of its team members. The Sparkles cheered at the home varsity and junior varsity football games, and in addition to the games, they participated in Mondays with Malta Cheerleading Challenge, the homecoming parade, pep assemblies, Broadmoor versus Coaches game. And this year, they also had the opportunity to be involved in many events where they were able to meet other inclusive teams. They performed at the Cavs game and traveled to Springfield to participate in their Spirit Showcase. And we met teams from Hudson, Springfield, New Philadelphia, and Riverside. Riverside just started their team just recently. And so it's exciting to see more teams forming across our state and across our country. We believe that through the Sparkle experience, our students with and without disabilities on our team have formed genuine friendships, and we've noticed that positive interaction between students with and without disabilities has increased in the hallway, lunchroom, and classrooms. Interactions between students with and without disabilities have been more respectful and accepting, and we are happy to see that our team is a source of pride for the school and the community. On behalf of the team, I want to thank everyone who helps to support this program, including the parents who are wonderful, generous people that support their children, the program, and each other in many ways. Thank you to our team captains, Jennifer Blair, Jimmy Dahlhausen, Hannah Roby, and Sarah Vanyo, who demonstrated their leadership abilities by starting cheers, facilitating practices, choreographing routines, and orchestrating special team building events. Big thanks to my assistant coaches who are right now doing all the hard work in the hallway, organizing everybody to come in here. Ali Rushke and Ali Brancato for all of their hard work and dedication. They are special people who have brought so much to the program and enriched it with their talents. They organize, assist, and support the team. They care so much about each team member and help to create a memorable experience for them all. Thank you to the board, Mr. Porter, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Fetchick, Mr. Casella, Kristen Kirby, and the rest of the administration that helps our program thrive. And lastly, a special thanks to the seniors and Sparkles who will be leaving us this year. You have made our team relevant and significant in our community and in our schools. We would never be the same without you. We wish you good luck and continued success as you continue on your journey. And so now I'm going to recognize all of them.
You might want to help him.
Okay. Emily Archaki, Allison Bacchial, Haley Bear, Ella Biondi, Heather Blair, Captain Jennifer Blair, Anna Blatz, Alyssa Butler, Christina Check, Jacob Cowie, Captain Jimmy Dahlhausen, Reese DeBow, Hannah Four, Cora Gideon, Kristen Gravel, Kristen, Talia Gravisi, Isabella Guerra, Sadeh Henderson, Elena Harubin, Zoe Hudak, Christian Hupp, Brittany Jenkins, Allie Jerson, Christina Kane, Kayla Kettlewood, Alex Koss, Aurora Laverick, Marissa Lehman, Jessica Luce, Kaylin Manley, Sophia McCartney, Paige McNeil, who is not able to be here this evening, Marissa McCallie, Jillian Morris, Sarah Ochaki,
Great job.
Andrea Patrick, Rosalind Pedley, Notoria Penny, Abby Pernat, Anna Platt, Jamie Rittar, Captain Hannah Roby, Vanessa Runowitz, Charlie Rupert, who is not able to be here this evening, Michaela Serger, Alexa Skirdick, Janessa Smith, Kelly Solano, Caitlin Stewart, who is not able to be here this evening, Alicia Thomas. Hi, Alicia, come this way. Sarah Vanyo, Captain, and Gabby Yoakum. Alicia, come here. Say thank you. Here, don't even put it back. Just shake it. You can keep this. Go that way. Congratulations.
Great job. Great job.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Very proud of you. Really great job.
Let's hear it for our Sparkle cheerleaders one more time. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Jeff Casella, our athletic director, and he's going to share some of the success of our students athletes have earned this winter season.
Thank you, Mr. Fetchick. Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Porter and Mr. Wilson, it's my pleasure to highlight the fantastic achievements of our student athletes this past winter season. The Mentor High School winter sports season was a great success that led us to three league titles, a regional runner-up trophy, a district runner-up trophy, and several outstanding individual performances. The first of these performances came from our bowling team. If our head coach, Mike Phillips, could join me up here, please. Mike made it in. Mike, come on up. One of the members of our girls bowling team had a tremendous season, and that is Alexis Sullivan. If Alexis would come on up. Alexis had a fantastic season in our bowling program. She was named Greater Cleveland Conference Bowler of the Year, and she finished the season strong, which qualified her for the state bowling tournament in Columbus, where she finished 35th overall in the state of Ohio. Congratulations, Alexis, on a great season.
Great job this year. Very proud.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Next up were some qualifiers from our wrestling team. The wrestling team as a team finished regional runner-up in the state dual meet tournament this year. And we had several individuals advance through the sectional and district individual tournament and qualified for the individual state tournament. If head coach Ray LaManna would join me up here, please. The wrestling program produced 2 state alternates and 2 state qualifiers this season. 2 of these 4 individuals are with us here tonight. Earning state alternate was Dominic Shelley. And our state qualifier who is with us here tonight is Nick Saban. Nick placed 7th in the state in his weight class. So congratulations to all of our wrestlers.
Good job, Coach.
Connor DeBow and Nate DeBow were the other state qualifiers, and they could not be with us here this evening. Lastly, our gymnastics program continued their success, winning the sectional tournament, finishing 3rd in the district, which qualified them for the state gymnastics tournament. Unfortunately, Coach Jessica Arabs has a sick little one at home and could not join us tonight, but I do want to recognize the gymnastics team who finished 3rd in the state as a team and had several individuals place in individual competition the following day. So members of our gymnastics team that are with us tonight. Sophomore Miranda Butterfield. Sophomore Kenzie Greedence. I'll give him time to catch up here. Freshman Kayla Kettlewood. Senior Amanda Latta. She couldn't be here. Sophomore Hannah Leidick. Freshman Ainsley Lyles. Good job. Junior Kelsey Morgan. Junior Hannah Parmiter. Freshman Brianna Patty. Sophomore Olivia Ponchin. And senior Olivia Wilson was unable to join us tonight. These girls traditionally treat us very well at the state tournament, and they're well known down there, so I appreciate all their hard efforts throughout the winter sports season. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Casella. I'm also honored to introduce Miss Kristen Buse. Kristen, can you please come up? I wanted Kristen up here to be embarrassed a little bit. Last year, over 2 million high school students took the ACT exam. This truly rigorous test measures students' competencies in English, mathematics, reading, and science. Many educators would say that this exam is a true barometer of one's success in the workplace or potential for higher education. The national average composite score on the ACT is 21 out of 36. We are proud to say that Kristen Buse has earned a perfect 36 out of 36 on the exam. This remarkable accomplishment only occurs, on average, less than 0.1% for all students to take the ACT exam, according to the ACT officials. So please join me in congratulating Kristen Buse.
So proud of you.
At this time, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Anyone that would like to leave, please feel free to do so. You're welcome to stay for the second part of our meeting. And if you'd like to move up, you can do so as well. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the board. At this time, I am recommending approval of the revised 6 through 12 required and supplemental reading lists and the addition of the high school medical internship elective.
So moved?
Oh, second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Jump together. Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Thank you. I am also recommending approval of the MOU between the Mentor Board of Education and the Mentor Teachers Association.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Thank you. Madam President and members of the board, I am recommending approval of Agenda Item C1 related to certified staff and C2 through C4, as well as the addendum item C2 that was distributed this evening, all related to the human resource matters.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Thank you. This concludes my portion of tonight's agenda.
Thank you. Board of Education report and recommendations. Mr. Wilson, did you want to take that
Yes.
business item?
We have before you tonight a resolution that authorizes me to pursue the purchase of a home for the Career Tech Program for use during the 2018-19 academic term. As the board may recall, we have begun a practice of purchasing homes in the spring, and that'll be funded by the sale of the current home at the end of the academic year. This allows us to be nimble enough in a very challenging market in our school district to make offers. The authorization is I can make an offer on behalf of the board, make a down payment of not more than $30,000, all contingent on final board approval.
Any questions?
I just want to comment that what a wonderful program it is. Today we had our tour of the Career Tech programs, and it was phenomenal. We had a lovely start, and we ended with a wonderful meal, which I think we can all say was very impressive. But the construction management program is near and dear to my heart because my son is in it, and I can't wait for him to be at the house. So, good job. They did a great job.
Thank you. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes. Thank you. Legislative report, Mr. Tuttle.
I'll start the topic and then I'll pass the ball to Dan. Dan's got a little more information on this. It's interesting, several months ago, I think, and in fact, even over a year ago, I spoke about the Homestead Exemption Act in which our state legislators eliminated it moving forward for those people who were not already enrolled, that you wouldn't get it. But our state rep, John Rogers, not only advocates for public schools, but he also advocates for our senior citizens. And he has introduced and had discussion regarding the subject of bringing back the Homestead Exemption Act. And I believe with one stipulation might be a little different and make it means testing. Means testing means be measured against an individual's income. So hopefully it's going to move forward. I look forward to speaking to Representative Rogers and push him along and tell him that quite a few people support him. As you all know, maybe you don't know, but our changing population is aging, and it's soon to be, in a very short time, over 30% of the population will be over, I believe, 65 and considered senior citizens on retirement. And so it's going to be very helpful. It's a double-edged sword, actually. Not only does it help them, but it helps us, because now the people who vote mostly in favor of public schools will now get some of their real estate tax back, which is a real plus. So, Dan, if you'd like to add to that?
Yes. A number of months ago, the board adopted a resolution requesting that there be an expansion of the homestead exemption program and restoration of some provisions that were eliminated. And as Mr. Tuttle says, we strongly advocate that our senior citizens that may be challenged financially ought to have support to vote their values when they support schools, not simply their pocketbook. And we're very encouraged. Mr. Tuttle is our legislative liaison. Mr. Porter, myself, Mr. Miller before Mr. Porter have all been active in advocating for some action on this, and the House bill has been formally introduced. It has to go through committee hearings, full House, hopefully be approved, and then move to the Senate. But we're very encouraged by this step, and as I said, the original program had a fixed amount that an individual homeowner would be qualified to receive as an exemption. This new one expands that exemption, again, based on ability to pay. The lower the income, the greater the amount of a discount on the taxes owed. So we continue to advocate. We talked about this while it's somewhat unique to Ohio, but just this past weekend, we had an opportunity to network with our colleagues around the state during the National School Boards Association. And this was something we discussed during the time that the Ohio School Boards Association hosted a get-together time. So very encouraged, but still need to keep advocating.
We thank Representative Rogers for being mindful of how important that is. It really did make a big difference for a large proportion of our community, so we're grateful to him.
Anything else? Thank you. All right, moving on to Chief Financial Officer's report and recommendations. Mr.
Yes.
Wilson.
Recommend the Board of Education approve agenda items 7A through F. I would note that we continue to track positively for the fiscal year with revenue slightly above budget and some underspending compared to year-to-date expectations and last year's performance on the expense side. So far, so good, with 3/4 of the year now completed. That and the somewhat normal transactions are presented for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes. All done? All right. Any unfinished business? No? Any new business?
I just wanted to mention about Mrs. Amber's leadership in creating our Sparkles cheerleading team, the fact that not only it's been a wonderful program for our schools and our students, in both the students who participate and the students who are impacted by that participation, but also the fact that her leadership in modeling that has seen growth of that program in other districts, and I'm very excited about that. And then piggybacking on what Mrs. Roberts said, that we had such a wonderful time, thanks to Mr. Crow arranging our tour of the Career Tech programs, and we had a chance to see all the students, well, not all the students, but all of the programs and some of the students and their wonderful, dedicated teaching staff. It was exciting, and we appreciate his leadership in that.
I have a topic. Recently, I scrolled through the TV menu and I stopped at Public Education, our channel, and coincidentally, it was at the end of the board meeting. I had a chance to see myself or hear myself. The photos I'm not impressed with, but the sound, I had difficulty listening and following what I was saying. And I listened to others, and in that production, it's so important that we videotape it and we replay it. But I'm wondering how many citizens who don't come to our meetings watch it and say, geez, I can't understand what they're saying. I don't hear it. They talk too soft. They turn away from the mics. So what I would ask that each of our fellow board members and those of you in the audience, if you would visit that and make sure you observe a board meeting, and let me know. Let us know if you hear us speak clearly, because we need to deliver the message to those people who don't come. As you can see in the boardroom here, we're all employees, with the exception of this young man and the young lady sitting next to him. So I ask you to evaluate, what do you think of the reproduction of the sound? The video is small enough. I look so down in the screen because it's panning all of us.
So are you
But the
asking
sound,
for Photoshop?
no, the photoshopping is out, but the sound, I think, So when we do speak, we need to speak clearly into the mic, and just, I ask each of us, check it out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tuttle. Anything else? All right, we'll move on to hearing of the public on any item.
Very good.
Hello, good evening, members of the board. I'm Amanda Blatz. I'm a junior.
And I'm Craig Vandermark, a senior.
We wanted to quickly address today some issues that we in our science research class have actually been talking a lot about, and those issues really reflect on the safety of both students within school and the possibility and just the overall movement of gun safety within our schools. So we as a student body feel that our rights are being suppressed when the administration attempts to prevent students from joining alongside a national movement. As outlined in the Mentor School Board's policy manual sections on education, philosophy, goals, and objectives, it explains, quote, that our schools are dedicated to helping each pupil to understand and participate intelligently in the operation of a democratic society, and to every pupil to become an effective and responsible contributor to the decision-making process of the political and other institutions in the community, state, country, and world. We believe that currently we are both incapable of, because we are not allowed to protest alongside the national movement. The Mentor Schools is preparing voters and the students to be the next citizens which rule our country. If we suppress their ideas and their rights, then we're not going to be able to get anywhere. We understand the school cannot fully sanction and tell students to walk out to promote change. However, when Mentor High School decided to participate in the walk-up movement, all that constituted was simply having an announcement. There was no follow-up in saying, what are we going to do to further institute peace and safety within our community? It has been 55 days since the Parkland shooting, and Congress has failed to act, as well as our school. We believe that we as a student body, as well as the school board, need to implement changes so we can actually have changes within our society.
So the pupil health and safety section C of the policy manual states that careful supervision in all classrooms, noon recess, extracurricular and other activities, and other facilities when scheduled for pupil use is required. We feel that the school is currently failing as there is little restriction of those who walk in and out of the building during school hours, especially as we have observed at Mentor High. We understand that the school is working to make changes. However, we want to be able to work alongside the administration to do so. One change that we think could be implemented is at Mentor High, we all have student ID cards that are presented to us when we get our school pictures and to incoming freshmen. So simply when we enter the building outside of regular entrance in the morning, just to show our student ID to the security office. Additionally, Part G of the policy requires the school to keep records of fire, rapid dismissal, and tornado drills. But it does not require the school to keep record of our ALICE, lockdown, and other related drills. So we think that the school should be required to keep records of these drills as they are very important to school safety. Regulating these drills will increase the overall safety which students feel. The final sentence of the pupil health and safety section states that safety rules and regulations require special attention or precautions. Safety rules and regulations are pertinent to the above areas, as well as other areas which student safety requires special attention or precautions, they may be developed. So the school Mentor Public Schools is obligated by this sentence here in the pupil health and safety section to make changes to increase school safety. Our school's vulnerabilities to gun violence do indeed require special attention, and we, as students, feel that our school should be doing more to address student safety. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. We will move on to, we will have executive session. I will entertain a motion for executive session for interim superintendent's evaluation. We don't anticipate any voting at the end of our executive session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes. Thank you.